One of the candidates seeking to contest the seat of the president in the 2023 general election, Ngige, doesn't need to resign over Section 8412 of the Electoral Act 2022. Ngige, who is currently the Minister of Labour, made this known in a televised interview in Lagos. The statement comes following recent controversy over Section 8412 of the Electoral Act, which states that, quote, "No political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election," end of quote. According to Ngige, the section does not apply to him as it falls under the public officer category in the Constitution. Well, to shed more light on the matter, wrong-Oshoma, legal practitioner, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, was the minister correct when he said Section 8412 does not apply to him in any way?
Yeah, I heard you the first time. I think the network was a bit not too okay. The minister is not correct at all. The minister is incorrect. The section does not pick and choose which persons to apply to. The section is explicit. Every political appointee that intends to vie for a political office, and you know, for you to vie for a political office, you must pass through party primaries. And the section is explicit that such persons must resign for him to vote or be voted for during the political primaries. And so, Ngige being a political appointee, and as distinguished in a case, he is not employed in the government of this federation, not being a civil servant employed in the government of the federation, but is civil servant, being a political appointee. The section, it is people like him that the section applies to, and not if he were a permanent secretary, for example. That's where you say it applies to the section of constitutional section, I think 69, 108, and then I can't remember the last section. That's what applies to permanent secretaries direct and those employed in the government of the federation or the state. But for political appointees, Section 87, subsection, Section 84, subsection 12 applies to them explicitly as far as the primaries of the political parties is concerned. So it applies to Minister Ngige, Dr. Ngige.
Now, just for the sake of future arguments, is there a discrepancy in terms of what the Constitution stipulates and what the Electoral Act mandates? Because the Minister of Labour is basically not the first person to have made reference to the Constitution rather than the Electoral Act.
There is no discrepancies. I think we are trying to be mischievous. Those people that are, some lawyers have attempted to create a discrepancies between a divorce between the two when there is no such. There's no discrepancies between the two. The Constitution talks about those people who are employed in the government of the federation, who are employed, who are civil servants. They're talking about, because if that one is clear, if you are a civil servant, for you to contest for an election, you must resign at least 1 month before that election. But the Electoral Act now goes further to say that if you are in the government of the federation and you are a political appointee, you must resign before you can even participate in the primaries. So there is a distinction here. One, the Constitution talks about the civil servants, because the Court of Appeal has interpreted that section in Fayemi's case to say that people who are ministers are not covered by the Constitution. So that was what led to the introduction of Section 84, subsection 12, to cover those people who are political appointees, who will hold on to office, go into primaries, and then come back. If they lost the primaries, they will come back and then continue. So in this case, the Electoral Act is saying that as a political appointee, you cannot even participate in the primaries except you resign your office. And the question will now be, is Ngige a political appointee or not? Ngige is a political appointee. Is Ngige in the employment of the government of the federation? The answer is no. Emeka Ngige is not in the employment of the government of the Federation to be covered by the Constitution. But he is a political appointee, so he's covered by the provisions of Section 84(12) of the Electoral Act.
Well, indeed, many thanks for that clarification. Wrong-Oshoma, legal practitioner, thank you very much for your contribution.